The most expensive painting ever sold at auction cost $450 million, and almost nobody has laid eyes on it since. So, is it even a real Leonardo? It's the 15th of November, 2017. Christie's, New York. A painting of Christ, one hand raised in blessing, the other cradling a crystal orb, goes up for sale. The estimate is $100 million. What happens next takes 19 minutes. Two buyers on the phone refuse to stop. The bids climb past 200 million, past 300, then a single, staggering jump bid. $400 million. Hammer. With fees $450,312,500. The most expensive work of art ever sold at auction. The room bursts into applause. But here is what the applause didn't know. To understand why that number is insane, you have to follow the painting backwards. Because this same object has been sold before, for almost nothing. In 1958, at Sotheby's in London, it changed hands for £45. Not million. £45. It was written off as the work of a pupil, a copy, barely worth the frame. And it gets stranger. In 2005, two American dealers, Alexander Parrish and Robert Simon, spot it in a sleepy estate auction in New Orleans. It's listed as After Leonardo, a knockoff. They buy it for $1,175. Parrish calls himself a sleeper hunter, a man who scans catalogs for the masterpiece everyone else missed. And he thinks he might have just found one. The painting they carried out of New Orleans was a wreck. Overpainted, cracked, a wooden panel split down the middle. So they hand it to a restorer named Diane Modestini. And slowly, under layers of later paint, something begins to emerge. When Modestini restores the lips, the way the colors melt into one another stops her cold. She becomes convinced she is touching a real Leonardo da Vinci. Years later, she'll say, "It's not just a painting. It's more than that. It's an object infused with power." If a $1,200 flea market find really was a lost Leonardo, one of fewer than 20 paintings the master ever made, it would be the art discovery of the century. So the question that will haunt this painting for the next decade is simple. Is she right? Speaking of things worth a second look, if you're enjoying this, subscribe to Art and Beyond. It's free, which is about $450 million cheaper than the painting. Now, back to the mystery. In 2011, the National Gallery in London makes a stunning decision. It hangs the painting in a major Leonardo exhibition and labels it, without hesitation, an autograph work. By Leonardo. Full stop. For the art world, that label is a coronation. It transforms a battered panel into a lost masterpiece. But what the public didn't see was what happened 3 years earlier behind closed doors. In 2008, the National Gallery had quietly invited 5 of the world's leading Leonardo experts to examine it. The result? 2 said yes, 1 said no, and 2 said nothing at all. The majority agreed the face was so badly damaged that they could no longer tell who had painted it. That was the verdict the coronation was built on. And the doubts never went away. They grew. Carmen Bambach of the Metropolitan Museum came to call it a work by an assistant, painted under Leonardo's supervision. An Oxford art historian, Matthew Landress, argued that maybe 5 to 20% of the painting is actually by Leonardo, the rest by a studio hand. Others were blunter. One called it a ruin. The critic Ben Lewis concluded it was a workshop painting that Leonardo merely supervised and touched up at the end. Was the world's most expensive painting mostly painted by somebody else? Then, in 2018, the biggest name of all weighs in: the Louvre. Its scientists examine the panel under Leonardo's own lab conditions and conclude the work is, in their words, entirely autograph. A real Leonardo, damaged but genuine. Case closed? Not quite. Because the Louvre wanted it for a blockbuster 2019 Leonardo show, the greatest gathering of his work in history. And it never arrived. The owner refused to lend it. The Louvre even prepared a book arguing the painting was authentic, and then quietly shelved it. Why would the owner of a genuine Leonardo hide it from the one show that would prove it? To answer that, you have to know who the owner is. And that story is almost as strange as the painting. Remember the 2013 sale? A Swiss dealer, Yves Bouvier, bought the painting for around $80 million. One day later, he sold it to a Russian billionaire, Dmitry Rybolovlev, for $127.5 million, an overnight markup of nearly $50 million. When Rybolovlev found out, it detonated into a global feud over roughly $2 billion in art, a fight only settled in court in the last 2 years. And the final buyer in 2017? The winning bid came from a Saudi prince, Badr bin Abdullah. But according to the Wall Street Journal, he was a stand-in, bidding on behalf of the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman. The painting was announced for the Louvre Abu Dhabi. A grand unveiling was scheduled, and then cancelled. No painting, no explanation. Since that night in 2017, the most expensive painting on Earth has not been seen in public. Not in a museum, not in a gallery. Rumors place it in a Freeport vault or on a super yacht, but nobody outside a very small circle knows for certain. $450 million hanging in the dark somewhere, and the world isn't even sure whose hand really made it. So here's the thing about the Salvator Mundi, the savior of the world. We can't agree on who painted it, and we can't even see it to look closer. A painting defined by two absences, a missing artist and a missing painting. What do you think? A genuine lost Leonardo worth every penny, or the greatest sales job in art history? Tell me in the comments. And if you want another story where the price tag makes no sense at all, watch our video on the art collection of Michael Jackson next. Until next time.